Good afternoon, or evening, actually. Yeah, it's 6 o'clock. Just going to wait just a minute or so, and then we'll get the broadcast going. Give everyone sort of an update on where we're at for 2021. Give us one more minute. Matt Faber helped us get the StreamYard account set up. So this is the first time I'm doing an event like this, but we'll be able to have the link to be able to share with the membership after the fact for those that aren't able to join on short notice. So let's get us kicked off. First, everyone, share the feed. We'll try and get this out there as much as we can. And this really is the announcement of the 2021 season, and there is going to be a season. We're going to get back to bowling. That's our goal, and want to sort of tell everyone exactly how we're going to try and do that. And I'll do my best to keep this broadcast as moderately short as I can. But I do have a lot to share, a lot of exciting events and sponsors for this season coming up. So we're going to cover some general NEBA information as well and its governance. And really, I want to do that for those of you that might not know exactly how NEBA is run. And even for some of our members, it might be information that you didn't know about. So I'm going to do a little bit of that. And then we're going to get right into the full season, our special events for the coming year, and all the sponsor support that we have that obviously makes what we do at NEBA possible. So a little bit of history on NEBA. Obviously, 1963 was when it was founded. We had been running tournaments once a month, every month, at least once a month, every month since 1963 up until March of this past year. So what is that? 37, 47, 50, close to 60 years, almost 58 years that we've been running events. And we're up here in New England with a lot of snowstorms and things of that nature. And we've never, ever missed a month with a tournament. It took COVID to throw us off track for that. As far as the amount of people that enjoy bowling at NEBA, generally, the last two seasons before 2020, we have somewhere around 650 members and right around 800 individual bowlers that bowl our events. 937 tournaments since our inception in 1963, 937 events. So before we get into the meat of the agenda, I want to take just a couple minutes to thank, or a minute to thank our two past presidents, Dave Kipperman for these past 2 years and Chris Forey for the 2 years prior to that. It's 4 years of great work that the two have done on top of all the duties of being president, performed at the highest level. They took on some special projects that I really want to acknowledge. Chris Forey, with all of his efforts around lifting up the NEBA Hall of Fame, I mean, that was some task and that was some event that we had. And, he really spearheaded all of that to make sure that under his guard, that was going to get done. And then recently, David Kipperman, managing the COVID crisis this past year was pretty difficult. But he also has a heavy hand in the technology advances behind the scenes. And all that work is to enhance and upgrade the NEBA software to help our management team, run these events and work with our membership more effectively. Just did a great job and continues to do a great job on that. All right, so before we get into the 2021 season, I thought I'd spend some time on, what is NEBA and how is NEBA run? As most of you know, this is not owned by anyone. The New England Bowling Association is run by the bowlers for the bowlers. There's no ownership. All the money that we take in from entries or sponsors goes directly to the expenses to run events, to our prize funds, and the promotion of our events and our bowlers. We try and create a fair environment for all ages and genders to compete at the highest level, while at the same time try and place, a little bit of enjoyment in, what we do, so that it's fun. You get to bowl with your friends, you get to hang out with your bowling community. So it's really a more of like a social club on top of, the ability that we have to bring 150 to 250 bowlers to any one tournament to compete at a very high level. So it's pretty special. NEBA has a governing board of directors and a management team. So let me go into detail of what that really entails. So every year, our members can submit to be on the board, and they can do that prior to the annual meeting. Once on the board, you can submit your desire to serve on the executive team, which consists of a second vice president, a vice president, and the president, which are all 2-year terms. The second vice president moves up to the first vice president, and the first vice president moves up to the president. So every 2 years, there's an opening for a second vice president. And to run for that position, you have to be on the board. We also have several working committees, and they work on all kinds of different topics, like special tournament formats, the surveys that we do to our membership, sponsor acknowledgement and promotions, the Hall of Fame and the inductees, and how all that works going forward. And that whole group of committees, they report back to the board with proposals to consider. And we expect all of our board members to be fully engaged in the process. And I can tell you, I've been on the board for 12 years now straight. And, it's a pretty active group, and everyone's engaged in the process. We have 4 scheduled board meetings a year. And what really makes NEBA stand out is our willingness and desire to hear from all our members. We survey our members several times a year on a long range of topics to get a feel of how our members want to see NEBA run. We generally get around a 20% participation rate on those surveys, which is really high. But my goal in my 2 years as president right now is to increase that, encourage more of that participation, because we really want to hear from everyone. And you can be assured that all opinions are considered when we're thinking about the continual improvement of our events and our members' experiences. Again, I've served on the board for the past 12 years, and Becky does an incredible job of pulling reports from the surveys that we do, so the board can do a deep dive into the opinions of those that complete these surveys. There have been several times that the board had a certain notion of how we thought a survey question was going to be answered, to learn that the membership felt very differently. And from that, it helps guide our decision-making process. We don't go into board meetings and making decisions, thinking that we know it all. We want to hear from our members. And you'd be surprised how many of the different questions that we ask get a 50-50 response or a 60-40 response. So it's really important that, we have more participation, so that we can, all of that helps guide the board in the decisions that we make going forward. And we know we're not going to satisfy everyone. It's hard to make everybody happy, but it is really an absolute key component to how our democracy at NEBA works. When you get a survey, take the time to respond. Feel as though it's a privilege afforded that you didn't really, doesn't really exist anywhere else in our bowling community. So really take time to help us, guide us and guide the board and the management team with what we're doing to try and help, advance NEBA's efforts. So let me introduce the governing body for 2021. Let me come over to my slate here. We have 2 first-time board members, and those 2 are Matt Farber and Andrew Hall. Welcome to the board. It's good to have some youth on the board. We have coming back Tim Gagney, who served a couple times now. Eddie Roberts, who served, I think, the most, I would imagine. Thank you, Eddie, for all of your time on that. And my wife, Amy Vialli, who has served for a couple of years now. And then we have, in the second vice president role, Stephen Major. First vice president is Bruce Hall. I'm the president for the next 2 years. And our tournament director is Dan Kay, and the tournament manager is Becky Craiglin, which has been with us forever and ever and ever, and does a great job. So that's our governance committee, governing board for the next for this year, and then at the end of 2022, or the end of this year for 2022, I'd like to see at least another 5 of our members, come onto the board to expand what we're doing. Having younger folks on the board is really important so that we stay fresh with the times. And we want to make sure that everyone's interests are fully represented. So to learn more about that, you can reach out to me directly or anyone on the board to, have any questions you might have about what it takes to be a board member and, what type of work it entails to be part of that. All right, so on to 2021. As many of you know or experienced at one of our COVID events, we do have a format that we're using for the pandemic. After several months of discussion and surveying our membership, we decided that 2021 will be a season, but it's going to be made up of 2 halves. For the first 6 months, we're going to schedule only 1 event a month. And we'll continue that. We'll continue to use the current COVID format, which I'll go over in a minute. But we are going to have points. We're going to run a season. And we're going to use the first 3 months of 2020. So we had 3 events in 2020, and then we canceled in March going forward for the season. Those points will be carried forward into this year, and the full year will determine all of the annual awards and what we do at the end of the year for 2021. So the COVID format, for those of you that haven't bowled as of yet, we are moving to an $80 entry fee. And again, we are planning to use the COVID events for the first 6 months. That's our plan right now. So the entry fee is only $80. We've lowered it. You have to pay that through, there's no cash, so that's through Venmo or a Cash App. And those instructions are pretty easy, and Dan sends them out. Fully covered mask. The only time the mask can be off is, while you're on the line going to make delivery. For qualifying, we only have a maximum of 4 in a pair, and every other pair is used. So what we do is, like say 1 and 2, we have 4 bowls bowling 1 and 2. No one's on 3 and 4, 4 and 5 and 6, and so on down the line. After you bowl the 3 games on 1 and 2, you move to 3 and 4, and you bowl your final 2 games on 3 and 4. So it's sort of like a pod that we keep everyone in, so that we don't have to clean the center, and we keep everyone as far apart as we can. As far as the squad cuts, there are no special cuts for the COVID events. Each squad is just a 1 in 5 cut ratio into the finals. That's it. There are no at-larges, so it's just every squad is its own squad, and it's 1 in 5 make the finals. And the first round of finals is eliminator style. And what we do is, if we have 30 finalists or 29 finalists, whatever it might be, we cut to the top 16, and then we go match play there out, single game, like we normally do at any other NEBA. So with no special cuts, what we're going to do different this year that we didn't do in the COVID events last year is we are having points, right? So we want to make sure that it's fair for our special age divisions and genders to participate. So what we're going to be doing is we are going to have cash spots. So for every 6 women that bowl, there'll be 1 cash spot if the woman does not make the actual cut. So if 6 women bowl and the highest woman is outside the cut, she will get a cash spot, which is going to be $100 for the $80 entry fee. But she also will be awarded points, just as if she made the cut and lost the first round. And if we have 12 women bowl, then it's 2 cash and spots. If a woman makes it, then it's the first high person out for that second cash spot. And if a woman makes the finals, then it's points as normal. If they're winning rounds, they accumulate points like you normally do. And it's going to be the same for seniors and super seniors. So that's what we're doing different to keep points in play. And those points are going to be for determining the awards at the end of the year for each of the divisions that we have. The membership fees for 2020, that were paid are good into 2021. So we're not charging anything. Anyone who has paid membership in 2020, that just carries into 2021. And we're doing the same for the sponsors. Sponsors that pays their dues in 2020 for their events, that just carried forward, and they don't have to pay anything for 2021. Anyone new bowling in 2021 will pay their membership dues or use their guest ability. Same rules apply. And that's our COVID run tournaments that we're going to do planning to do for the first 6 months. In the event that things do, the restrictions lift, then we will consider moving to normal events with normal special cuts earlier than that. And the second half of the year, we're back to normal. We've got all our large special events scheduled, as long as, again, it's safe. And, that's our plan. That's our plan for 2021. First 6 months, COVID events. Second 6 months, all the big stuff. So now what we're going to do is we're going to get into the actual slate of sponsors and events. And we're going to have a little fun with that. So in total, our sponsors for 2021 have supported NEBA for the tune of just over $40,000 in direct support for prize funds, special events, shirts and balls, and the general fund to help us promote our bowlers and the events. But before I get into the slate, I really want to emphasize, when choosing your products and services, remember who supports us, right? So, if you've got a choice of, where you're going to buy your product from, who you're going to go to get fitted, or anything of that nature, whether it's shirts, balls, ball drillers, some of the products and services our sponsors have that are outside of bowling. Just remember, let's make sure that we're taking care of our sponsors because they take care of us. Okay, so we do have two huge specials from our sponsors that we are putting on hold this season. That is the Women Cup Series, which is sponsored by Joanne Herman. She designates $2,500 for these special series events. But given the COVID events that we're having early on, we felt it best to just push that back to 2022. We still have specials for our ladies, which I'll get to as we're going through the events. And the other thing that we're putting on pause for this year is the Paul Forey Memorial Cup. In honor of Chris's dad, Chris donated $10,000 for special series events that we had it all planned out. It was pretty neat how we were going to do it, and that we were going to do in last year. And we were hoping we'd be able to do it this year. But after talking to Chris, it seems to make sense with that, that big of an investment into, this series of events that we're going to push it off to 2022. I'd also like to announce that we have an exciting new sponsor, and that's Storm. Storm has stepped up in a big way to be our title sponsor for the season. They're providing 15 balls from each of their 3 brands, 900 Global, Storm, and Rotogrip. So a total of 45 balls for the season, which I'm really excited to have Storm's family on board. A special thanks to Leanne Holzenberg for working us, to the finish line at the last hour these past couple days. And of course, a big thank you to Bill and Barbara Chrisman. We all know what they do for our sport and our profession. So it's really great that we have Storm on board. All right, so we kick off our season. The first 5 events are all singles events. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up the schedule. Let's see if I can do this effectively. I'll do my best. Let's click on this. Click on that. All right, so here's our schedule of events. And I'm going to go through each one of them and talk a little bit about our sponsors and some of the special events that we have. All right, so we start off with our good friend LaRue Marlowe, Many Styles of Bowling. And their team, that's going to be at Circle Lanes down in Southern Connecticut, January 30th, 31st. And from there, we head to East Providence for the Strike FX Open. That's going to be February 27th and 8th. By the way, that is also my wife's birthday weekend, and she does turn 50. Sorry, Amy. And we have our, our long time NEBA sponsors, Alex Aguiar and John Van Hees from Strike FX. They've been sponsoring NEBA for a very long time and do an incredible job to really help with everything that happens at NEBA. So from there, we head back to Connecticut, March 27th and 8th. We go to Silver Lanes for the Bullwinkle's Pro Shop Open. And that's at the Hall of Fame, Silver Lanes. Another longtime sponsor, Rich Reynolds, does a great job as his shop, and longtime sponsor of Cambridge NEBA. Next stop, we stay in Connecticut. We go to the Buddies Pro Shop Open at Nutmeg, and that's on the 24th and 5th of April. He is our longest NEBA sponsor, Chris Forey. Again, it's hard to say, how much he does for bowlers, the people he sponsors, the club, Youth Bowl, and everything. And he also sponsors, our annual awards, which, it's $2,500 a year he puts into the annual awards. So as always, thanks, Mr. Forey, for everything you do. Next event, we're up the highway a bit for our May event at Callahan's Bowlerama. And this is for the Bud Callahan's Memorial. That's on the 22nd and 23rd of May. Fred Callahan and his family at Bowlerama, they've done so much for the sport. They run a lot of local events, support bowling as much as they can. They hosted our regional, and I think we're going to be hosting our regional again in 2021, our PBA regional. So thanks, Fred. I know, Fred, that you're leaving. I saw the Facebook post, but I'm sure the center is in good hands with your family, and thanks for everything you've done, Fred. So next we head back to the Ocean State for our first doubles weekend at Cranston Bowl. June 12th is our over-under 50, and that's sponsored by East Coast Sports Investors, and that's Jeff Dawson. He's a new sponsor. This is second or maybe third year in. Does a great job with giving advice on sports in all different areas. June 13th is our regular doubles event, and that's sponsored by GMS Concrete. And the owner of GMS Concrete, Clay Schwartz, he's adding $2,000 to the prize funds for the weekend. So $1,000 for each of the two events. He's done this for a couple of years now. Clay's just a fantastic guy. And we thank you so much, Clay. And we know you've gone through some tough times recently, so we're here for you. And thank you so much, Clay, for all your support. So now we get into the second half of the season where we are hopeful that the normal events will start. And that's July 10th and 11th. And we head to Western Mass for the Savage Arms Open at Chicopee, which is my backyard. That's where myself and Amy have our leagues. And that's sponsored by Al Casper, who's the owner of Savage Arms. That's one of the larger gun companies here in Western Mass, Wesson and Savage Arms. He's a bowler and golfer, a good friend of ours, and he supports a couple of one of our bigger leagues at Chicopee, and he's always there for us to help with NEBA as well. This event is also featuring the special women's discount entry fee. So Joanne Herman from bowlingseriously.com she's providing a discount of $45 for a women's first entry. Now, when we get to this stage of the season, the entry fees are going back to $95. That's the thought. So for women to bowl, their first entry is only $50 because she's covering the other $45. And if someone doesn't make the cut and they need to re-enter, she's covering another $25 for that second squad you might have to bowl. So your second squad's only $70. She set aside, a little bit under $1,500 for our female athletes in these discounts for this tournament. So she just does an incredible job to promote women's bowling, and we love having her as part of our team. And this is one of her feature events. She also sponsors the Women's Annual Awards for another $500. And that goes to the top women point getters for the full season. Thanks again, Joanne, for everything you do for us. So after Chicopee, we head north. We're way north up to New Hampshire. And this is one of my favorite weekends of bowling and activities. Yankee Lanes, July 31st and August 1st. This is sponsored by Jeff Barden. He adds $2,000 to the weekend's prize funds, $1,000 for each event. These are special double events and singles events. It's a smaller center, so they're 4-game squads instead of 5. And we oil between squads and just go right into the finals. The doubles events on the 31st, and the singles events is on August 1st. We love going up to his facility. His team at Yankee Lanes, they treat us like gems, and they're really great hosts. We also hold our annual golf outing on that Friday beforehand, and we do a social mixer with a Texas Hold'em game at a local facility right there in town. Hopefully we'll be able to host those as well. We'll see, how the pandemic is, or, what's safe and what's not safe. But I really want to thank Jeff for all he does for bowling. He has his Northeast Classic tournament up at Yankee Lanes as well, which is, well attended by a lot of our members. So thanks again, Jeff, for all you do. So now we're in mid-August, and we head south again, and that's for the Masters weekend. And that's at Nutmeg Bowl, and that's August 14th and 15th. So that's a pretty big weekend. August 14th, we have 2 events. They go at the same time. We have Seriously.com's women's event, where Joanne Herman, again, puts $1,000 into the prize fund for that event, and that's just for women. And then we have a seniors event that's sponsored by KR Strike Force and Brian Beaver, and they're adding $1,000 to that event. So thank you guys so much, Brian and Joanne. That's Saturday, seniors and women on the 14th. Then Sunday, it's our Masters event. And this is sponsored by Bloomfield Electric and Tony and Suzanne Renaud. Roger Burrell, who owns Bloomfield Electric, he adds $2,500 to that prize fund. And Suzanne and Tony add another $1,000. So $3,500 is added to that tournament. And, it's a long format. It's a very competitive field. And we put some pretty tough shots out. And generally, they're 2 different shots. We're still working on the format to be announced, but we'll have that complete well before the event. So again, I want to thank Roger and the Reynolds for, all your support for this event. It really makes the prize fund solid. And without that support, it's hard to, pull these events off in such a good way. Then we head north, not that far, just up the highway, for Vincent Memorial Special Over Under 50 Doubles event. Now, this is a big event. We have a lot of big events the second half. So this is going to be held at Hall of Fame Silver Lanes on September 4th and 5th. That's Memorial Day weekend, but we're doing Saturday and Sunday.
Labor Day weekend.
Labor Day weekend. Yep, sorry. And that's Saturday and Sunday. I got Amy in the background checking my facts, so there you go. Tech Vision is the sponsor of this event, and that's Bruce Hall. Bruce Hall is adding $6,000, yes, $6,000 to this prize fund in honor of his dad. Basically, he is our live stream vendor, and he's taken his entire year of what he earns to do live streams, and he does a ton of work at that, and donating that to this one event for this very special tournament. The event will have one different rule that's, outside of what we normally do for doubles. There will be no limit to the partner titles, so you can match up 2 multiple title holders for that team. Generally, we have limitations. So if you've had a title within the last 10 years or 5 years, you can't bowl with someone who has titles. This is not going to make a difference. You can have someone with 10 titles bowling with someone with 5 titles, but it has to be over and under. We're going to have format for this is set. There are going to be 2 patterns. There'll be 1 long, 1 short, 2 5-game blocks. We're limiting the field to only 50 teams. We'll bowl 5 games in the morning, re-oil, 5 games in the afternoon. Then we're going to cut to the top 12 teams for a Sunday round robin. So there'll be 12 teams round robin, 60-pin bonus for winning your match, 2-game matches. And then we cut to the top 3 teams for a stepladder finals. It's really going to be an exciting event. We have some more fine details coming out. But again, I just want to thank Bruce for this very generous donation in honor of his father. And, this is going to be, a really big event. We're hoping that based on what we're looking at, it could be 4,000 or 5,000 for first. Really solid prize fund. So more to come on that. And again, thank you, Bruce, for all you do at the live stream, on the board, and this very generous donation for this special event for your dad. All right, we're getting closer to the end here. We go to September 18th and 19th, and we head back to East Providence, Rhode Island, for another weekend of doubles events. A few doubles events in a row here, but that's all good. They draw well. Everyone loves the bull doubles. First day on the 18th is Over Under, and that's sponsored by I Am Bowling, which is the new brand powered by Logo Infusion, which is Kenny Keegan. He's made an extremely generous donation through his sponsorship, providing one high quality shirt for every champion for every tournament this year. So that's an awful lot. Again, thank you, Kenny, and I Am Bowling for the generosity and the support, the quality shirts, and really, it's great to have you on board. The 19th is the Dexter Bowling Shoes regular doubles event. And Paul Sylvia from Dexter, again, super generous, adding $1,000 to the prize fund for the weekend events. Can't thank Paul enough. Spoke to him in detail. He's a local Boston guy right outside the Boston area. And they're really trying to do a lot more to expand their brand in the bowling community. So more to come on what Paul's going to try and do to expand their efforts. And, thanks again. So now it's October 16th and 17th. And I almost have this down. So let me scroll down. Okay. So we head back to our furthest point south in New England, Connecticut Circle Lanes, second time there next year. It's another singles event with sponsored by Ace Mitchell Open. It's the Ace Mitchell Open. Vinny Grazan, a super long time good friend of mine, and he's been supporting NEBA for a very long time. And as you know, Ace Mitchell and Vinny, they do so much for a lot of tournaments around the Northeast. He also sponsors our annual golf outing. So again, thanks, Vinny, for everything you do and your support. And looking forward to playing some golf with you, I hope, in August or late July. All right, now we head to our furthest point east, and that's November 6th and 7th. It's been a while, but we're going back to Brockton, Westgate Lanes. And this is the Brockton Bicentennial Open, which is hosted by Westgate Lanes. It's great to have Westgate back on the schedule. It's been a while. And I want to thank Rich Vogel for really making it happen. He reached out to me pretty late in the year to see if we could get this slated. And they committed to adding $500 to the prize fund. So that's really cool. So I want to thank Westgate Lanes, Rich, and the 10th board. Thanks, gentlemen, for stepping up and getting us back out to Westgate. Hopefully we have a good turnout. And then we head west to our central location, which is Auburn Lanes in Mass. This is the non-champ and tournament champion weekend. That's on November 20th and 21st. The non-champion event is being sponsored by DJ's Pro Shop. That's John and Denise Zawalik. They do a great job sponsoring, and they'll be adding money to this prize fund as well. And that's the non-champs on the 20th. Thanks again, John and Denise, for all you do. And then the 21st is the Tournament of Champions. And this is being sponsored by the brand of Storm bowling balls, whether it's 900 Global, Rotogrip, or Storm. All three brands, again, are our title sponsors for the entire year, and this is their event. We want to thank them again for the generosity of the balls throughout the year. There will be money added to this event. We're still working on the details of what that will be. And then we finish the regular season back in Connecticut at Norwich Lanes on December 18th and 19th. And we have two events that day. It features our second seniors event of the year, and that's sponsored by another longtime sponsor, Turbo Grips, Driven to Bowl. Again, I want to thank Chris Sand for being part of NEBA for so many years and what they've done for us. And on the 19th is the Better Bowling Concepts singles event. And that's a shout out to John Kirker and John Daly and the team at Better Bowling Concepts. They've been with us for a long time as well as a sponsor. So we're looking forward to that event to conclude the year. And then the full season gets capped off early in January with the Cambridge Credit Council Invitational. So that's going to happen this year because we are having a season. And Cambridge adds $3,500 and NEBA adds roughly about the same amount to that prize fund. So roughly about $7,000 gets added to that prize fund. And to qualify for the Invitational, you have to bowl at least 5 events in 2021. And that's another long special format that we have for that tournament, and details will come, prior to the event on exactly what that will be. So that's our 2021 season. We have a lot going. Another great slate of sponsors for this year, even though, we've just endured this COVID experience for the past 8 months. We are, I think, pretty optimistic that we should be able to run events. And we do it in a very safe environment using the COVID format that we've developed. We ask everyone that does attend those events to just be as safe as possible and cognizant of your fellow bowlers, because the last thing we want is any type of outbreak, caused by, people not, fulfilling their obligation to be safe around their fellow bowlers. So that is my broadcast for today. Looking forward to seeing everyone. Our first event is a couple weeks from now. And any questions that you guys had, I will address them on Facebook. So I will go onto Facebook and address any questions or anything anyone had to for me to respond to. And my last thing is I just really want to go back to, we really care about our members and what our members think and what our members want to see from NEBA. We work really hard at that. I mean, sometimes opinions can clash. It's going to be that way when you have 600 plus members and 800 bowlers. But we really try and do our best to put our best foot forward and keep NEBA running at a very high quality standard and make it an experience that people can enjoy and want to come back. So with that said, my cat just came across the screen, so he wants me to end the broadcast. Everyone, have a great evening. Look forward to seeing you. Thank you for tuning in.